So my next question is from one of our listeners, from Catherine. Hello, Catherine. And I'll take the liberty of being Catherine for this question. So she wrote in saying, you talk a lot about people buying the wrong kinds of properties before they come to National, coming to you. And so she's talking in the context of negatively geared properties. Mm-hmm. Now that Catherine's found the light and discovered that they should be buying positively geared properties that has growth potential, what do they do with the negatively geared properties that they already own? And so Catherine asked this question because she's in this category herself. And so she's curious about what your take is on this scenario for her. Should she consider selling, or is it, a done deal? She should just stick with it until it becomes positively geared.
Yeah, I absolutely love this question, right? Because first of all, there's no such thing as a bad asset. There's only bad asset selection, right? So just because cash flow positive properties are generally better, that doesn't mean that negatively geared properties are like the devil's work. The reason that we demonize them quite a lot and the reason that we have such a high focus on positive cash flow properties is because generally speaking, negatively geared properties or negative cash flow properties are going to get people stuck, right? So there's a reason that 71% of property investors never get past property number 1 and 90% never get past property number 2. The main reason for that is negatively geared properties, right? It's properties that don't produce enough income and people can't afford to buy any more than 1 or maybe 2. Now, the really sad part about that is that what that means is that only about 1% or less than 1% of property investors ever actually achieve their financial goals, right? It's huge. It's a big, big problem, right? So 99% of property investors will never achieve the financial goals that they set out to achieve when they started property investing, because they get this wrong. That being said, if you've got a negatively geared asset, does that mean that you just sell it and like, oh my God, it's like poison. I've got to get this out of my portfolio. Well, not necessarily, right? So a couple of ways you've got to think about that is, the very first question to ask is, are you stuck, right? Because if you're not stuck, then you might not have a reason to release that capital from the asset, right? So if you have enough capital plus enough borrowing capacity to continue to build your property portfolio without selling that asset and without it, being a burden on your hip pocket day to day and all of that kind of stuff, if you can afford to keep it, then it might actually make sense to keep it, right? So for the time being, right, there will come a time where it is going to make sense to get that out of your portfolio. And generally speaking, it is not a case of just waiting until it becomes positive. Although, again, unless you get stuck, you could do that, because getting stuck is the thing that we're trying to avoid, not specifically having a property that is negative cash flow. It's actually getting stuck.